lies in our unity. Come rain or shine, this great promise called Nigeria will stand. Nigeria truly cares. For our parents, our soldiers will definitely bring back our girls.
The news tonight, President Jonathan reassures that Nigeria will overcome the challenges of insecurity. Staggering statistics of mother-to-child transmission of HIV, federal government moves to stem the tide. And more women benefit from the benevolence of the Women for Change and Development Initiative. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Elizabeth Barno. Thank you for joining us. President Goodluck Jonathan has reassured Nigerians that his administration will spare no effort in getting rid of insurgency in the country. The president gave the assurance at an audience with the leadership of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. State House correspondent Shegun Laoli reports.
The meeting with the president was at the request of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, who raised concerns over the continued attacks on innocent Nigerians by the Boko Haram sect, resulting in the loss of many lives and several others displaced from their homes. The delegation was led by the Catholic Archbishop of Jos and President of the Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, the Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama.
Mr. President is already doing his bit. He has assured us he's on top of the situation. They are reviewing strategies and all that. And by the grace of God, this terrorism that we are witnessing will soon be a thing of the past.
The bishops are also seeking collaboration with the federal government for effective distribution of relief materials to the internally displaced in the northeastern region of the country as a result of a series of attacks by insurgents.
So we are telling government that we are aware of the wonderful effort they do, the relief they give through NEMA and other agencies, but the effectiveness of distribution is our concern.
President Jonathan also granted audience to the 2014 Senior Executive Course 36, who presented the report of its studies on the country and made recommendations for implementation by the federal government.
Disputes can be settled within the framework of the processes understood by law. Parties to agreements should try as much as possible to work within the agreements. 2, patriotism is required because disruptions in workplaces and in schools have impacted negatively on our national development.
In the State House, Shegun Laoli, NTA News.
And while Nigerians, particularly those in the northeast, have been assured that all the lost territories to the Boko Haram insurgents will soon be reclaimed and normalcy restored in the affected areas. This is the outcome of an interaction between the Senate Committee on Defense and Army and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Kenneth Minima, on the prevailing security situation in parts of the country. National Assembly correspondent Adam Sambu has details.
Can the layman in the village accept that we are doing our best if when he wakes up from sleep, he hears a story that the one local government area has been captured by the insurgents?
The Chairman Senate Committee on Defense and Army, Senator George Sekibo, explaining the committee's predicament to the Army Chief, who stood in for the Chief of Defense Staff at the commencement of the interactive meeting. But after about 3 hours of deliberations behind closed doors, where all areas of concern were trashed, both parties came to the conclusion that the prevailing challenges are indeed surmountable.
I want to continue to rekindle the confidence of Nigerians, and particularly the ordinary Nigerians who have suffered the pain of this insurgency, that the Nigerian Army will continue to do its best and strive to winning this war and reclaiming the lost territories.
We are assured to inform our constituents that it will not go worse than what we have now. We believe from the charge we have given to them, from tomorrow and perhaps in the nearest couple of weeks, we are going to have better results.
And at plenary, the Senate unanimously passed for third reading a bill seeking to repeal the Nigeria Football Association Act and enact the Nigeria Football Federation Act to provide for better and result-oriented football administration in Nigeria.
And I believe that this brings an end of confusions and disputes that have tried in the past to mar the football administration in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the lawmakers have resolved to screen the presidential nominee, Justice Mahmoud Mohammed, for appointment as Chief Justice of Nigeria at plenary on Tuesday next week, while the CBN Deputy Governor nominee, Oku Joseph Nana, is to be screened by the Committee on Banking and Finance within 1 week. Away from plenary, the Senate President David Mark took stock of Nigeria's ailing economy and maintained that only planned, deliberate, and sustained efforts in research and technology can rescue the nation from economic downturn. Receiving the 2014 Champion of Medical Research in Nigeria Honors Award from the Nigeria Institute of Medical Research, Senator Mark said no nation desirous of development can afford to undermine research as a key component. President of the Institute, Professor Innocent Uja, said the honor is in recognition of Senator Mark's contribution to medical research and development of the health sector. And after a 6-hour meeting with PDP stakeholders in Ondo State, the Senate President, who chairs the PDP Reintegration Committee of the Southwest, commended them for allowing a seamless reconciliation and integration in the party. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
One of the 4 victims of a suicide bomb attack at the Federal College of Education, Kontagora, Niger State, has been confirmed dead. The victim, Fasilat Adejoke Oludeji, who was a 300-level student of English language at the institution, died on the way to the IBB Specialist Hospital, Mina. Mukhtar Abubakar Robo completes the report.
According to eyewitness accounts, the unidentified bomber who had come into the college unnoticed was seen hurrying towards her target, where a large number of students were reading in the library, preparing to write their end-of-semester examinations in the auditorium 30 minutes before the explosion, which left her dismembered. 3 undergraduate students and 1 almajiri were affected by the bomb blast, but 2 of the victims have been discharged from the college clinic.
I was just trying to enter the library before I just heard the bomb blast. So I cannot explain anything because I don't really know.
I saw myself on the floor with some body parts close to me in the front. So when I saw it, as in, I was confused. I did not know the place. As in, I was emotionally down.
We didn't really have any serious casualty. The only one that we had was the one that they told me she was dead at the scene. I wasn't there because when they brought them, we had to attend to them.
I know the security, we have been intimating them to be alert, but how she get inside as a pedestrian, I can't say.
The remains of the suicide bomber were taken to the Kontagora General Hospital, while security operatives condoned the scene of the blast. In Kontagora, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
The police has read the Riot Act to politicians who use thugs to further political interests. Inspector General of Police Suleiman Abba warned at a conference of Police High Command towards the violence-free elections that thugs and their sponsors will be arrested and prosecuted. Bonaventure Wodu has details.
The Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, directed commissioners of police in the country to begin the screening and supervision of vigilante groups to ensure that they work in conformity with the laid-down regulation to avoid all forms of abuses.
As the law provides, they will be prosecuted and justice will take its course. What we are doing now is we are laying emphasis on it in view of the oncoming elections, in view of, in particular, the commencement of campaigns, which will begin in a few days' time, and believing that politicians, sometimes to their knowledge, at times out of their knowledge, their supporters get themselves armed, and before you know it, they begin to use it against themselves.
Commenting on Police Training Institute Goza, overrun by insurgents, The Inspector General said 30 police officers are missing, but there is hope, as one of them resurfaced a few weeks ago to assume duty.
Our heart and concern still remain with members of their families, and we also join them in praying that those that are still missing will continue to surface.
Reacting to the launch of human rights documents by the Inspector General, the Human Security Advisor, Ambassador of Switzerland, Pascal Huliga, the Executive Director, Clean Foundation, Kemi Okeyonde, and other official partners of the police commended the ongoing reform in the Nigerian police. In Abuja, Bonaventure Wood, NTA News.
Talking health now, President Goodluck Jonathan has described as unacceptable the high birth rate of HIV-positive babies in Nigeria as he launches the national initiative for the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of the disease for 2015 to 2016. Represented by Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo, the president said he is committed to protecting Nigerians against the epidemic. State House correspondent Hamza Musa Makarfi reports.
The HIV/AIDS epidemic is 30 years old worldwide as launching of the national elimination of mother-to-child transmission takes the stage. Over the period, it is estimated that 60 million have been infected and half of the figure died from AIDS-related causes. The impact is not on health alone. HIV/AIDS is affecting and threatening economies and development efforts in sub-Saharan Africa. Nigeria is reportedly with 3 million people living with the disease, and women are worse hit.
To review strategies on ending the HIV.
In the review, President Jonathan said the lives of mothers and children can be saved through testing and counseling, family planning, safe delivery practices, as well as increased awareness of HIV status and strengthening of health system projects. But there is also the global perspective. Among them, the plan which the president said aims to reduce the number of infections among children by 90% and related maternal death by 50%.
There are huge coverage and access gap in prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Only about 61% of pregnant women attended antenatal care in 2013, and only 36% delivered in health facilities. Government is aware that support from international partners has flattened in the last 3 years, and government has been informed by some international partners of a gradual withdrawal of funding support for some aspect of HIV services in the country.
The president said government is responding to the challenges as stakeholders, he said, should rally around his administration in sustaining robust response to HIV in Nigeria. From the International Conference Center, Abuja, I am Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
And with the new focus of getting zero HIV infection, it is obvious that the first intervention with the highest potential for achieving zero new infections was prevention of mother-to-child transmission, PMTCT. This is because technology exists to almost completely interrupt these transmissions. In this report, health correspondent Rabi Abdullah brings the reality of PMTCT as attested by some beneficiaries.
That Nigeria contributes about 25% of the global burden of mother-to-child transmission of HIV makes it a priority health issue in the country. The stories of these two women give credence to the effectiveness and the difference the program is making in the lives of women living with HIV and families in general.
It starts from antenatal care, and the moment is detected, the next thing is they place you on drug and a series of counseling about feeding option for the unborn child and what to do. And even after you have the child, you will still have to continue treatment for the child, which will be about 6 weeks that's immediately after childbirth,
the baby will be placed on PEP, which is post-exposure prophylaxis, in order to prevent infection in the child. It's an interesting program and is a good service. I benefited even my first child.
Sometimes I feel like to drop the drugs, but because of the baby, I still take the drugs because I want my baby to be negative. I went to a scan and they say it's twins in my womb, and I believe they will be safe and sound.
And in situations where the husband is negative, and in many of our clinics, 50% of the patients who come to the clinic or more may be serodiscordant. It prevents transmission from that HIV positive woman to her partner.
Gaps, some challenges which we feel as women living with HIV could hinder the success of the program. And one of it is the issue of user fees, payment of fees in facilities, antenatal charges, laboratory tests, even for consultation. These have driven most of our members to seek alternative care like the traditional birth attendant. And if women don't present themselves in the facility, they won't be able to get this opportunity like I have.
And the launch of this national operation plan is a good opportunity to show political leadership. It is now incumbent upon us, the technical people, the state level and the local government, to try to translate this into specific actions to reach the mothers and the children.
These women and their babies, all beneficiaries, attended the event. In Abuja, Rabi Abdallah, NTA News.
The federal government says it is committed to ensuring that access to finance remains the hallmark of the initiative on small and medium-scale enterprises. Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo stated this at the inaugural meeting of the National Council on Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises set up by President Goodluck Jonathan to grow the economy. State House correspondent Hamza Musa Makarfi reports.
6 governors on the council represent the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. The mandate of the committee is creating the right atmosphere for jobs to Nigerians and inclusive economic growth. Since inauguration, some subcommittees on access to finance and markets have been working, others on institutional framework, which the Minister of Communication, Omobola Johnson, is chairing. The subcommittee on infrastructure and reducing the cost of doing business are also in place.
Our deliberations today started with members commending Mr. President for setting up such a council, which will be the first ever in Nigeria. A council to coordinate the affairs of a sector, the MSME sector, which is which accounts for about 45% of our GDP, which has more than 17.25 million MSMEs, which employs more than 32 million people, which accounts for more than 70% of our workforce.
As a big priority of government, the committee assured Nigerians that the biggest barrier of access to finance will be addressed, hence the initiative of a special fund established by the president.
There have been a number of initiatives, but the most recent initiative is the establishment of the 220 billion fund by Mr. President through the CBA to that sector. And council members wanted to have an update on that fund, wanted to know how much of that has been accessed, who is accessing it, because part of the problems we've had is access.
What is the update on accessing the funds?
But the important thing is that additional 19 states are at the stage of being ready to access the fund. And collectively here, as 6 governors representing our geopolitical zones, have agreed that we should all go and encourage those who have not initiated the process of accessing the fund to immediately start the process of accessing these funds.
The council is to meet in the next 2 weeks. From the presidential villa Abuja, I am Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
The Women for Change and Development Initiative has distributed empowerment materials to women in Bayelsa State in line with its objective of providing a platform for them to fulfill their goals and aspirations. State House correspondent Makut Simon Macham reports that First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan presided at the ceremony.
The distribution of empowerment materials to women across the country is becoming a regular affair as the First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan goes about intervening to improve the lives of women. As the empowerment train reached Bayelsa State, Dame Patience Jonathan received a rousing welcome from the women of the state who defied the rains to welcome her. They say they remain proud of her passion for Nigerian women and the entire citizenry. The First Lady told them that her passion for women has continued to motivate her to look out for the interests of Nigerian women in all sectors. She said President Goodluck Jonathan remains the greatest supporter of Nigerian women, promising to do more for them when re-elected.
If you love me and Mr. President, this is the time to show it. He has fulfilled his promise. It is time for us to show our appreciation by coming out in mass to vote for him.
Wife of the Bayelsa State Governor, Rachel Dixon, supported by her counterparts from Delta and Cross River states, said Nigerian women have been touched by the First Lady and President Goodluck Jonathan, hence the resolve of the Nigerian women to vote him in again come 2015. National Coordinator Women for Change and Development Initiative, Rabi Ibrahim, Senior Special Assistant to the President on MDGs, Precious Benol, the President, Market Women Association, Felicia Sani, as well as the National Coordinator of TAN, Ifeanyi Uba, among other speakers, said Nigerians are appreciative of President Goodluck Jonathan and therefore will express this by voting him in massively in 2015. Dame Patience Jonathan thereafter distributed the empowerment materials to all the beneficiaries from the local government areas of the state. She asked them not to sell the items, but use it to empower themselves and their families. She also presented checks to cooperative societies benefiting from the MDG empowerment program. The First Lady had, on arrival in Yenogwa, visited the Bayelsa State Council of Chiefs, where she briefed them on her mission to the state. She was received by the second Vice Chairman of the Council, King Mala Saseme. From Yenogwa in Bayelsa State, I am Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
Ahead on the news tonight, Nigerian workers to benefit from over 9,000 housing units in the Federal Capital Territory. We'll bring you details after this timeout. Stay with us.
Transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
Change is never easy. It was not easy for Dr. Martin Luther King when Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew transformed Singapore from third world to first world. It was not easy. They stoned him. It was not easy for Nelson Mandela.
I, Barack Hussein Obama.
It was not easy for Barack Obama. Nothing worthwhile ever is. Dr. Martin Luther King did it. Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew did it. Nelson Mandela did it. Barack Obama did it. Goodluck Jonathan is doing it. He is transforming Nigeria. Mr. President, keep doing it. We who are with you are so many more than those who are against you. A message from protectors of Nigerian posterity.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Professor. My former students. Happy birthday
Every day, life is made better by the moments of surprise we create for others and for ourselves. Be better. Surprise someone this season and make sure to text 11 to 400 to get a surprise from MTN.
MTN, everywhere you go.
The Dettol and Ministry of Health team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases.
Do you know what germs are? They are tiny, harmful, living things that you pick up from dirty surfaces. These germs can make you ill and prevent you from doing all the things you like to do with friends. That's why you need to fight them by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Mom, today we learned how to fight germs with Dettol soap.
Federal Ministry of Works, in conjunction with the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, is assiduously driving the federal government transformation agenda in the roads sector. Several arterial federal roads have been constructed and rehabilitated, while many others are undergoing dualization, amongst which are Kano Maiduguri Road, Sokoto Tambuwal, Abuja Lokoja Benin Expressway, Vom Manchok, Loko Oweto Road, Benin Ore Shagamu Lagos Expressway, Lagos Ibadan Road, Ibadan Ilorin, Abakaliki Mukpo Ogoja Junction Road, Aba Owerri Road, Enugu Port Harcourt Dual Carriageway. It is strategically replacing damaged grid guardrails with reinforced concrete and new jersey rails, as well as illuminating critical sections of selected federal roads and bridges. And over 7,000 young men and women in the SURE-P FEMA Public Works Program, FEMA, is poised to ensure quicker, cheaper, and safer road transportation. Federal Ministry of Works and FEMA, moving Nigerians on good roads.
The Chairman, Annual National Entrepreneurship Week, ANU, and Executive Secretary, NUC, Professor Julius A. Okogie, hereby invites all Vice Chancellors, entrepreneurship educators, captains of industry, professional bodies, students, and all local and international partners to the opening ceremony and activities of the 2014 NUC Annual National Entrepreneurship Week from 17 to 21st November 2014. The 2014 ANU will feature ideas and make your mark contest, entrepreneurship development clinics. The opening ceremony will be performed by the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Ibrahim Shekarau, OFR. Date, 17th November 2014. Time, 9 a.m. prompt. Venue, NUC Auditorium, Abuja. Professor Julius A. Okogie, announcer.
Seyi Makinde, stimulating attitudinal changes and initiating radical thinking. Seyi Makinde, the man of his words, an achiever per excellence, imbibing public confidence and enlists mass participation in governance. Seyi Makinde, a philanthropist, driving a collective vision of a people of Oyo State in a unique way. Seyi Makinde, a man of the people and a silent achiever. Seyi Makinde can be trusted to do more.
We will change the future of our state for the better.
Seyi Makinde, the man for change.
The Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, regrets to inform parties interested in participating in the auction of frequency spectrum licenses in the 2.6 GHz band that it has decided to postpone the process of the auction. This postponement is to enable the conclusion of all administrative requirements aimed at ensuring that the frequency licenses are delivered to winners and be effective immediately on conclusion of the auction. By these announcements, the current timetable is suspended. A new program, including timetable, will be published in due course. We regret any inconveniences caused by this suspension. Dr. Eugene Jua, Deputy Vice Chairman and CEO, announcer.
On the political scene now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it will now focus on its stronghold of the grassroots to ensure an outstanding victory for Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. In the aftermath of his declaration, the National Secretary of the party, Professor Wale Oladipo, was reflecting on the next line of action by the party as the convention date is a month away. President Jonathan's declaration, the National Secretary noted, is another attestation to the party's belief in its transformation agenda and the need for continuity.
President Jonathan's declaration, the National Secretary noted, is another attestation to the party's belief in his transformation agenda and the need for continuity.
A good time, like they say, deserves another. Here is a president who has done his job very well with the fear of God, respect for human dignity, In the face of all challenges, particularly security challenges, he has been able to hold the nation on the path of greatness.
Meanwhile, towards the re-election of President Goodluck Jonathan come 2015, the Jonathan Youth Vanguard National Headquarters in Abuja has been commissioned. The opening of the headquarters is one in the series of conscious efforts to reposition the Jonathan Youth Vanguard for more efficient engagement of the youths. The Jonathan Youth Vanguard Group will also be interacting and sharing wider information on the present administration's achievements towards a better future for Nigerians.
Mr. President, from this structure here, will definitely get victory in 2015.
The National Coordinator, Yisa Bagudu, and the Director General of the Jonathan Youth Vanguard, Orubebe Beze, say it will also enhance dissemination of information and youth active participation in the re-election of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. In Abuja, Femi Johnson, NTA News.
The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Adamu Muazu, has promised to look into the issues raised by Ebonyi PDP stakeholders led by the former governor, Chief Sam Egu. He stated this when he granted audience to the stakeholders at the party's national secretariat in Abuja. Alhaji Adamu, who received their petition, promised to submit it to President Goodluck Jonathan.
Take this to the president, but I intend to tell the president, being his children, to call, together with him, will call you and the governor and discuss this matter. Because I believe this matter must be resolved. It must be resolved in favor of PDP.
Earlier, the stakeholders have complained about some developments in Ebonyi State. These include the last Ward Delegates Congress and the removal of the party structure in the state.
And criminalities going on in Ebonyi State, and graciously, A, direct the immediate proscription of Ebonyi State Youth Assembly before it transforms to an insurgent group capable of destabilizing the Southeast Zone.
Still on the political scene, the All Progressives Congress, APC, says it will follow party guidelines and principles of transparency in its primaries to have competent candidates that will engender peace and progress of Nigeria at all levels of government. National chairman of the party, Chief John Oyegun, stated this at a media briefing in Abuja. Correspondent Abdullahi Garba reports.
In a briefing tagged Building a New Nigeria, APC national chairman says the party is concerned about the current security and other socio-economic challenges of the nation and pledged to address them if given the mandate. The APC, he explains, believes in openness, transparency and respect for the rule of law, adding this will be applied in selecting those to vie for elections on APC platform.
Once in office, our party will govern with openness, with transparency, and every kobo belonging to the people of this nation will be judiciously utilized and meticulously accounted for.
On the ongoing voters' registration by INEC, the APC advised Nigerians to participate actively. The party commiserated with those affected by insurgency attacks. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
An attempt has been made to reform the Public Order Act to conform with the present democratic dispensation. In line with this, the Nigerian Law Reform Commission held a workshop in Abuja to get input from the public. Correspondent Femi Okewo attended the session and our reports.
The Public Order Act Cap P42, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, was inherited from the colonial government, even though it has undergone several modifications. The major ingredient of the act is that police is expected to grant license before any assembly, public gathering or protest. But over the years, most Nigerians have kicked against this, saying it contravenes the provision of the Constitution which guarantees freedom of assembly.
It is the involvement of politicians and the governments of the day that is creating more problems. This is a democracy. Allow them to assemble, to criticize.
Now, the Nigerian Law Reform Commission has taken the public position seriously and is in the process of reforming the Public Order Act.
In recent years, the courts have tried to impress it upon law enforcement agencies that they cannot abridge the rights which the Constitution has given to the people, particularly since the return of democratic governance.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, in collaboration with the Nigerian Law Reform Commission, is to update the anti-torture bill. The bill, which intends to criminalize acts of torture, degrading treatment, or punishment, drew contributions from civil society, the police, and military in view of the increasing allegations of torture and inhuman treatment. The police power to arrest, search, and detain is also expected to undergo reform. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Environment has successfully supervised the remediation of 1,690 oil spill sites, as well as other practical measures to address climate change in the country. The Minister of Environment, Laurentia Malam, stated this while presenting the ministry's 2014 scorecard at the Accountability Program ministerial platform. Mia Ogidi reports.
Change, oil spillage, flooding, indiscriminate dumping of waste, and gas emitted from automobiles have posed a serious threat to the environment with attendant health and ecosystem challenges. So, audience at the ministerial platform focusing on environment, we are keen to know government's efforts in tackling these challenges.
The ministry applied for and obtained a toll-free line for reporting oil spill incidents across the country. The ministry procured equipment for the GIS.
Apart from these, the ministry has distributed about 1 million clean cook stoves and tree planting under the Great Green Wall program to reduce desertification, implementation of environmental impact assessment laws, work on erosion and flood sites, setting up of ambient air quality centers, geographic information system, waste-to-wealth centers, the recruitment and training of environmental health officers, and award of contracts on dredging and sand filling. This is the first time the supervising Minister of Information, Nuruddin Mohammed, is chairing the platform, but he promised to sustain the program.
We shall continue to give good account of ourselves as a government, always backed by empirical evidence, that the Ministry of Environment has succeeded in areas of effective waste management, reclamation and rehabilitation of degraded lands, biodiversity, conservation and ecotourism, effective environmental governance, and mitigating the effects of climate change.
The ministerial platform is an accountability program for public office holders to give a scorecard and chart a way forward for the incoming year. In Abuja, Mie Ogede, NTA News.
Some cheering news for Nigerian workers now. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has created a new district in Abuja known as Apo Tafi District, where over 9,000 units of houses will be built for Nigerian workers. FCT Minister Bala Mohammed, during an inspection of the area, says the new mass housing district, measuring about 300 hectares, is a part of a nationwide workers' housing scheme of the federal government, expected to generate 100,000 units for workers. Correspondent Mitaire Ipen reports.
The development of the new Apo Tafi Mass Housing District, which is a partnership between the FCT administration, Nigerian Labour Congress NLC, Trade Union Congress TUC, and some private developers, is aimed at giving public and private sector workers who are contributing to the National Housing and Pension Funds the opportunity to have houses of their own. FCT Minister Senator Bala Muhammad says apart from the new mass housing district, another 350 hectares of land have been allocated in Lugbe, Abuja to other developers to build houses for workers, following a presidential directive.
Mr. President was futuristic. He said we should give them districts because he wanted to build 100,000 houses. The people who are the engine room of the country, to provide them a place where they can lay their heads.
From 5 to 12 million, that's a major one for the workers.
NLC President Abdul Wahid Omar, who described the mass housing project as historic, used the occasion to assure workers in Abuja who subscribed to an earlier housing project which became controversial that their funds are intact.
Unfortunately, we also went into partnership with Christian Lally, and along the line, we encountered some difficulties. Those who now decide to take their refund, we are ready to give them.
In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
A bit on education. Education Minister Malam Ibrahim Shekaro has urged Nigerian academics to expedite efforts at accessing the 7.8 billion naira unaccessed funds for research in Nigerian tertiary institutions. He stated this at the launch of the TED Fund sponsored specialized higher education textbooks worth 471 million naira. Franca Uzoma Olva reports.
Over the years, the challenge of inadequate funding rather than dearth of researchable work was a major issue in the tertiary education subsector. But today, the story has changed as academics and education managers find it difficult to access research funds due to their inability to meet TED Fund guidelines.
Over 70% of these allocated funds are still unaccessed. This trend is not acceptable and does not show seriousness on the part of stakeholders responsible to change the fortune of our tertiary institutions.
However, 20 research titles from Nigerian universities qualified for awards, 17 of them from sciences, technology and innovation, 2 titles from humanities and social sciences, while 1 from cross-cutting thematic area.
A confirmation that TED Fund interventions covered virtually all areas of our educational life, not only infrastructure, but also education-based and content-based.
We are inching towards the new paradigm that we are moving to, and that is thinking about developing research outputs into products.
The event also featured the presentation of TED Fund guidelines on National Research Fund and guidelines on institution-based research. In Abuja, Franca Uzoma Olwa, NTA News.
Lagos Port remains open for business. Details of this and more with Vera in our Lagos Network Center. It's over to you, Vera.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And good evening and welcome to Lagos. The Minister of State and Supervising Minister of Health, Kaliru Alhassan, says although Nigeria has been certified free of the Ebola virus disease by the World Health Organization, Nigerians should continue to be alert and maintain good hygiene. This is when the minister paid a solidarity visit to the first consultant hospital in Lagos, where the first case of Ebola was treated.
The minister, while commiserating with the first consultant hospital for the loss of its dedicated and professional staff who lost their lives after contracting the Ebola virus from the American Liberia, assured them of the continued support of the federal government. He then urged Nigerians to stop stigmatizing the hospital because it is free of the Ebola virus.
We are here just to show a sign of solidarity and give encouragement that now it is safe. The hospital is quite safe for people to come and get treated. We have taken all the necessary precautions to ensure that people can come and get treated here without any fear about Ebola.
Overwhelmed by the visit, the medical director of the hospital reacted this way.
We expressed our gratitude to Mr. President, who asked him to come, and also to the minister who has just taken over.
The minister and his entourage visited wards the Ebola patients received treatments.
Premier Port Apapa remains open for business activities despite disagreement between members of the Association of Nigeria Customs License Agents and one of the terminal operators. Ademola Adeoye, who visited the ports, reports that the gates were open while trucks moved in and out of the port. The report.
Trucks were seen going in and out without hindrance. For some time now,
The clearing agents have been having a running battle with the terminal operator over the charges of clearing, positioning of containers, and demurrage at the port.
We are not happy at all with Epimola because Abuja have to be a premier port, and we expected better services than what they are offering us now.
The APMT has considered to waive off some of those charges, and but the shipping agents have not been able to fall in line, and there are some other issues of to see how more containers can be scanned to increase the numbers that can be scanned so that to reduce the waiting time.
The NPA management has, however, swung into action to ensure that the activities of the agent do not paralyze the port system. No doubt the activities of the clearing agents have impacted negatively on the revenue collection of the customs. For now, the gates of Ababa Port remain open for business while efforts are still on to resolve the contending issues. In Lagos, Ademola Adeoye, NTA News.
The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, says it is well positioned to respond to all emerging issues in the global financial system. The managing director of the corporation, Umaru Ibrahim, disclosed this at the NDIC Special Day at the ongoing 2014 Lagos International Trade Fair. Tunde Saiki reports.
The managing director, who was represented by the head Strategy Development Department, Dr. Kacholom Gang, said since the establishment of the corporation 25 years ago, it has been able to pay a cumulative sum of 6.825 billion naira to 586,277 insured depositors of the 48 deposit money banks in liquidation as at August 31st, 2014. She added that the corporation will continue to provide financial literacy, consumer protection, financial inclusion, sustainable banking, and extension of deposit insurance coverage to depositors of non-interest banks.
Even when you use the mobile money operators, you are also covered. You will not lose your money if a problem comes. We are still working on the framework, and very soon it will be out.
As one of the nation's financial safety net participants, the NDIC has a major role to play in contributing to the stability of the financial system.
Guests and officials of the fair were later taken around the pavilion of the NDIC, where they were re-educated on what the corporation has been doing to protect the bank's deposit over the years. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Airtel, always on with destination news. Airtel Internet, the smartest network for your smartphone. Dial *401# to activate.
There are those that want to divide Nigeria, to take us back to another time. But the future belongs to you, and the better future is the one we are building together. Together, we have built the largest economy in Africa. And now, we must lift up every Nigerian child, strengthen education in every corner of the country, keep building the infrastructure of a modern society, the roads that bring commerce, the energy and water and prosperity to lift up every family. So, to those that want to divide Nigeria, we say the future is hard work, but we are building it together. We can't go back. The future belongs to us. Good luck, Jonathan. One Nigeria, moving forward together.
50,000 naira! Free money, free money, free money! This is no news. They said they're giving away free money. Free money! Free money?
That's mommy!
Madam, who's giving out free money? It's a Cherry Noodles Naira Hot promo. When you buy a carton of Cherry Noodles, you may see one or even 2 packs with an amount written on the sizzling sachet. Go to the nearest Cherry Noodles retail shop and collect your cash instantly. Hurry! It's the Cherry Noodles Naira Hot promo. Cherry Noodles, love at first taste.
Africa. Some see it as a land of challenges. We see it as a land of endless opportunities, where success comes from hard work and determination, and having a strong partner. Boxer, engineered to be stronger, engineered to last longer. Because to make it in Africa, you need to be stronger for longer. Boxer, made stronger to last longer.
Auntie!
Hello, my dear. I see you went shopping with your mom, right? And what did you buy?
Power oil. It has 0 cholesterol and 0 trans fats. And contains vitamin A and natural vitamin E. It's a healthy oil for a healthy family.
I'll buy Power Oil next time I go shopping, huh?
Power Oil, healthy for you.
Johnny S5.5, the slimmest in the world. Johnny, to be needed, to be loved.
I need a great deal, the best price I can get. That's why I shop on Jumia.
Quality you can trust. You can count on us.
Nationwide delivery.
We make shopping easier. Cash on delivery. When you shop on Jumia, when the rain or shine. Jumia.
Get this Sachet 3-in-1 blender for only 1,950 naira at jumia.com.ng. Jumia, the online shop you can trust.
Nigeria adopts Independence Building as its iconic structure for the development of National Trade and International Business Center. Vivian Idekpefo has details of this and more on Business News. Over to you, Vivian.
Thank you for joining us on Business News tonight. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Olusegun Aganga, has reiterated the federal government's commitment to turn Nigeria into an enduring investment hub in Africa. Dr. Aganga was speaking at the signing of agreement between the Infrastructure Bank and the management of the Tafawa Balewa Square for the development of the National Trade and International Business Center. He said the adoption and conversion of the Independence Building to a world-class edifice will no doubt promote trade and improved service delivery as well as capital mobilization.
We're having it when Nigeria has now become the #1 economy in Africa, and therefore it's expected to have such an iconic, not just iconic building, but a facility that facilitates trade and investment, domestic and international trade and investment.
In the construction phase, it's going to be big. And during the time of the utilization of the building to be designed, it's going to create a lot of jobs and opportunities for trade and investment in Nigeria.
Now to the capital market, where the equities closed Thursday on a positive note for the third day in a row, as the all-share index gained 1.61% to close at 34,515.47 basis points. Let's take a quick look at today's price movement on the Nigeria Stock Exchange. That's our package on Business News tonight. Elizabeth takes it from here. Good evening.
Thank you, Vivian. Governor Ibrahim Shehu Shema of Katsina State has advised local government administrators and other stakeholders to unite towards a functional system at the grassroots. The governor was speaking in Abuja when he hosted a group of concerned members of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria at the Katsina Governor's Lodge. Abdullahi Garba Birnin-Kudu reports.
Due to the physical and psychological closeness to the people, the local government has been acknowledged to be a vehicle for a dynamic rural development base by providing social services at the grassroots. These were some of the points highlighted by Governor Shehu Shema, saying the transformation drive of government, especially in the area of millennium development goals and the Sure P, are hinged on a functional third tier of government. Governor Shema, however, challenged the Algon members to bury their differences, unite and fight a common cause.
And I believe that your association has come a long way since inception and has contributed tremendously to the growth and development
The concerned group of Algon members led by Chairman Fufore local government in Adamawa State say they are on a consultation with governors and other stakeholders to provide a good leadership and direction to Algon.
You are all aware, local government is the closest government to the people. We need a purposeful leadership so that we will deliver the dividend of democracy to our electorate.
The committee, members of Algon drawn from 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, working towards resolving internal crisis in the association so that they could forge ahead in carrying out their regular activities with its positive impact on society. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
Global tidbits and sports are next after these messages. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
FRCN, NTA and VON annual service of 9 lessons and Christmas carols is here again.
The program, which started over 10 years ago in Abuja as a local carol night, has grown into a national affair.
It's an exhibition of classical and Nigerian Christmas songs and carols,
featuring spirit-lifting renditions and inspiring messages in celebration of the living Christ.
Celebrated groups like the Laz Ekweme Choral Group will be there.
Theme, celebrating the Prince of Peace.
Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja.
Date, Sunday, 14th December 2014.
Time, 3 p.m.
Message giver, Senior Pastor, Dunamis International Gospel Center, Dr. Paul Enenche.
For sponsorship details, call 0803-303-7678
0803-704-3300
or 0802-722-2869.
Coming live on Radio Nigeria, NTA and Voice of Nigeria, Sunday, December 14, 2014.
The FRCN, NTA and VON annual service of 9 lessons and Christmas carols.
Making Christmas memorable for you.
Voice of Nigeria Pensioners Fiscal Verification Exercise Old Pension Scheme. This is to inform all Voice of Nigeria VON pensioners that the verification is scheduled to take place as follows. Gombe Zonal Office, 17th and 18th November 2014. Kano Zonal Office, 20th and 21st November 2014. Abuja, 17th and 18th November 2014. Calabar Zonal Office, 13th and 14th November 2014. All VON pensioners are expected to come along with the following documents for citing. Sign management.
Clinical drug trials for Ebola start in West Africa, and United Nations Nuclear Agency corrects data on Iran's uranium stockpile. These and more on Global Tidbits with Talatu Ezeriki.
Clinical trials to find an effective treatment for Ebola patients are to start in West Africa next month. Spearheaded by the medical charity Medecins Sans, it intends to experiment 3 trials, one of which is to use the blood of recovered Ebola patients to treat sick people in Guinea. From Egypt, 5 security personnel were allegedly killed in Sinai's gun attacks. In India, the country's prime minister tightens grip on power and has drawn trusted bureaucrats into a closer relationship. This comes as India and the United States resolved their disagreement on food security issues, paving way for a global trade deal. And the United Nations Atomic Agency has corrected data to lower its estimate of the size of Iran's uranium stockpile ahead of this month's deadline to settle dispute over Iran's nuclear program. That is all on Global Tidbits. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
And next is sports with Kene Mabudiki.
Nigeria Super Eagles depart for Congo-Brazzaville Thursday for Saturday's crucial 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against the Red Devils. Eagles lost 2-3 to Red Devils in the first leg in Calabar and would need to secure victory in Congo to remain in contention. The coach Stephen Keshi team had light training Thursday morning at the main bowl of Abuja National Stadium. Meanwhile, the Pinnick Amaju-led Nigeria Football Federation has expressed confidence in the ability of the Eagles to deliver in Congo. In another development, African football community would have to wait till weekend or thereabouts to know which country will eventually host the 2015 edition of Africa Cup of Nations. CAF, however, insists that the tournament will take place between January 17 to February 8, 2015, despite Morocco's refusal to host the tournament. In spite of losing 4-5 via penalties to Directorate of Operations and Passports in the final match of the football event, Office of the Comptroller General emerged overall champions in the 7-month-long Made in Nigeria Immigration Service Inter-Directorate Games, which ended in Abuja midweek, having won in 4 other events.
We take an immigration officer that is all-rounded. It's not just walk, and no play, but walk, act, and play. So it's a very exciting event.
Ahead of the forthcoming 2014 Commonwealth Taekwondo Championships scheduled to kick off this weekend in Edinburgh, Scotland, world number 17 Chika Chukwumerije says the 16-man Nigerian team will excel in the elite competition, judging by the quality of.
And just before we go, it is your right to challenge anybody suspected to be involved in unwholesome activities around you. Be security conscious. This message is from the Directorate of State Security. And that's NTA Network News for tonight. We thank you for watching. I'm Elizabeth Banu from all of us here. It's good night.